Hello, everyone. How's everyone today? I'm sure you're all lovely and being fed and happy because Meghan gave us a new editorial and we also got the trailer for With Love Meghan, the holiday special. I'm going to get into all of that. I've taken a little bit of extra time to come on today. I wanted to come on earlier, but I wanted to make sure that I got all of the pictures, everything, so we can get like a really good, detailed podcast today. Got quite a few interesting stories. I'm going to read out the editorial and do my analysis on that. And there's a couple of extra things that we're going to talk about also. So please grab your coffee, water, tea. There's going to be a jam-packed podcast today. I might even do some call-ins. I mean, I've come on a little bit later, so I think for our American friends, even it's a bit too late. I think even for our UK friends, it's a little bit too early, but there's some of you are in the chat, so that's all that matters. If anybody in the chat did want to come up and have a call in, then we can do that. Do hit that thumbs up button, please, and that subscribe button. And let's get into it. How gorgeous are these pictures? Hey, Kathy G. Hey, Wendy. Hey, Mina. Duchess. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for being here. My goodness. My goodness, my goodness, my goodness. Look at these pictures. Look at these pictures. She looks great. And I love that they went for a very, very natural look. I mean, that's a look that Meghan likes to go for, that kind of like no makeup look. Very elegant. I believe all of the clothing was Balenciaga. Most of it was. And yeah, we're gonna get into it today. What's this mean? I still have to read the interview. I'm gonna read it out. I'm gonna read it out in full, and we're gonna analyze it bit by bit. Okay, before I read it out, let's go through some of the pictures. Now I've split it up into looks. So I've tried to like put all the looks together. Here we have this beautiful, elegant, one shoulder silk. We've got the suits, different hairstyles, hair up, hair down. I think this is going to be a great era for Balenciaga. I love that they've moved away from, you know, the controversy and all of that. Just nonsense Balenciaga was doing, nonsense, perverseness, into elegance. I just think the whole transition, Paris Fashion Week, having Meghan at the forefront, it's like this is a new era and we've left all of that nonsense behind. And she is rocking that Balenciaga very beautifully. New era Balenciaga. So these are all, I had to watch the video like 5 times. It was like a behind the scenes video of Meghan's Harper's BAZZAR shoot. And I was like taking stills, screenshots of like every single frame. That's why it's taken a little bit longer for me to come on today. Also this one. So we've got looks like with a trench, messy bun, half up, half down, swept back. I won't play the video just in case the copyright police come after me, but the video is just, it's so well cut. And it's just Meghan, you can see that she's very comfortable in front of the camera because she's not, this isn't new to her. She's been doing editorials. In fact, she had to stop because of royal life. Here's some more. Now this one, the one with the white turtleneck with the sleeves that go past the wrist, that is my favorite look. Like that is actually something that I would rock. Maybe not here in the tropics, maybe in the evening on a cooler night, but just that high neck with the bold jewelry, the rings, the earrings, that's definitely like a me look. That's what I would go for. Then we've got something more casual with the tank top And then the suit. We've seen Meghan in that look that I think she wore an Armani or a Cavalli that was very similar to that as well. And then here are some more. This is the actual cover. And then she also did a red look, very bold, just beautiful. Whether she's wearing a suit or something more laid back, knows how to work the camera. So I've seen bits and pieces of the interview floating around, but I haven't read it in full, and I'm going to read it in full with you all now. So let's have a read of it, shall we? Here we go. So Meghan's moments. Before I get into it, Kathy G. Yes, Meghan is that girl, and you are also that girl, that queen, Kathy G, for being a member for 44 months. What? What, Kathy G? Very, very much appreciated. I am so humbled that you feel that I have given you enough that you would be around for 44 months. Thank you. Duchess, Meghan literally made sure to round out 2025 with a cover and her holiday special. She's fed us all year, yeah. And like I said in my last podcast, I hope we get this. What we saw in October and November, I want to see that on acid every month for 2026. I want a new cover every single month. New product drop every single month. New collaboration every single month. New podcast every single month. The red dress, she wore the black version in Paris when she went to dinner. Oh, good spot. Is that so? Hello, Auntie Jane. Good morning to you too. We're about to read the article, so grab your coffee, water, tea. Okay. Harper's Bazaar, Meghan's moments. After being subsumed by other people's narratives, the Duchess of Sussex is ready to author her own next chapter. A cluster of white tents has been set up in the La Bera tar pits, the fossil dig site and natural history museum in Los Angeles, to receive a group of girls from a local STEM academy. One tent near the entrance is appointed with a handsome, worn-looking wooden desk with a tarp hanging behind it that's printed with a reproduction of a nature painting. It looks like the movie version of an archaeologist's field station. The 11 and 12-year-olds in their purple and grey uniforms are unaware of who they're about to meet. It's a warm September day, and I can hear them murmuring outside the tent. A golf cart pulls up, the gravel crunching beneath the tires. The Duchess of Sussex, someone in the scrum, announces. Meghan ascends, dressed in wide-leg trousers, a silk blouse, and a pair of pave diamond studs by the Ukrainian brand Guezma. They were a gift from her husband, Prince Harry, picked up on a recent trip to Ukraine with his Invictus Games Foundation. Meghan lived just a few blocks from here as a child. She mentions that as this is where she rode on the back of her mother's bike before she was allowed to ride here on her own. Everyone is ushered into the tent where a table is set up full of boxes of dirt and bone specimens. The museum educator begins to explain what they're looking at. Meghan is attuned to the girls. She asks one about her nails, another about what she's studying. When a girl mentions her love of languages, Meghan lights up. I'm learning French and Duolingo, she says proudly, adding that she just hit a 90-day streak. Meghan and the girls assemble for a group photo. Some girls look straight at the camera while a few squint or stare off to the side as an attempt maybe to stave off self-consciousness. This is a time for many girls when they become aware of being seen, sometimes benevolently, more often than not. Meghan, 44, stands in the middle of the group. She lives a life accompanied by a level of scrutiny that every tween girl imagines is always present. Except for Meghan, it is very real. I don't know how any woman could see a young girl and not see herself in her, especially at that age, Meghan tells me later. Oh, you should tell that to Megyn Kelly. Tell that to Megyn Kelly. When Meghan became engaged to Prince Harry in 2017, it triggered a tectonic shift in the culture. Already an actress on the popular cable drama Suits, and the purveyor of an aspirational lifestyle brand, The Tig, Meghan shot to global stardom and became the subject of intense public fascination made up of equal parts adoration and vitriol. The contrast in Meghan and Harry's backgrounds: she was American and he was British. She was a working class actress from a modest family and he was a royal. She was biracial. He was a symbol for an imaginary monoracial Britain. Scrambled multiple narratives. Depending on your perspective, their union symbolized the triumph of liberal post-racial meritocracy, or the downfall of traditional conservative values. In 2020, when the couple announced their intention to step back from royal duties and move to California, the tabloids dubbed it Megxit. It was a cultural inflection point. Was this a refutation of generational trauma or millennials being afraid of hard work? Because the royals work. In all of those stories, though, Meghan lost her agency and her humanity. Meghan understands her voice better than you, better than any producer could put it out there, says Terry Wood, former executive vice president at Harper Productions, Oprah Winfrey's production company. Wood executive produced the explosive 2021 Oprah interview with Meghan and Harry. After they stepped back from the royal family, its airing triggered an aftershock, and worked with Meghan on the production of her podcast Archetypes. She knows how she comes across and she knows how she wants to connect. She understands that so much has been written about her that when she does something, she wants to break through the noise so people see that she is authentically trying to be herself. Meghan has acquired a level of fame that is massive. The question becomes, what does one woman do with that amount of power and tricky sort of influence? In the 5 years since leaving the firm, what some members of the royal family call the institution that dictates their lives, Meghan has remained focused on the projects she built for herself and that fits her lifestyle as a mother of young children. Together with Prince Harry, she launched the nonprofit Archwell with a mission to show up and do good. She has signed development deals with Spotify and Netflix. Her lifestyle series with Love Meghan, in which she invites friends to a Nancy Meyers-esque California home to cook, craft, and garden with her, coincided with the launch of her brand As Ever, which sells scented candles, preserves, flowers, sprinkles, and wine. After years of others attempting to fit her into narratives, she is now pursuing a life and career that feel authentic to her and her alone, and allowing herself to enjoy it too. The appearance of the La Brera Tar Pits has wrapped, and now it's lunchtime at the Polo Lounge at the Beverly Hills Hotel. I followed Meghan underneath the iconic green and white stripe of the entryway and through the creamy carpeted lobby and outdoors to the patio, where a live piano player's notes accompany our procession. Long the C and B scene spot for Hollywood deal making and politicking. It is a calculated choice as the site for my first interview with Meghan. We are ushered into a circular table in the corner of the garden, a prime seat where we can see other diners and they can see the three of us. The Sussex's chief of communication officer sits between us. We order a burger and fries for the table, and Meghan orders a Polo Power Bowl. When it arrives, she holds up the dish, taking genuine delight in the perfectly arranged produce, aligned to make a rainbow. During our conversation, Meghan pauses to chat with the restaurateur, Michael Chow. She says his restaurant catered a recent birthday for Prince Harry, or H as she still refers to him, and has a whispered conference with a famous film titan. How do powerful women flex? Do they lead with deference or dominance? Meghan seems to lead with affability. The warmth in which she greets each of these men and with which they reciprocate is genuine. With me, her interviewer, the power balance shifts back and forth. She is warm and open, and she always maintains direct eye contact. It's a skill she honed since childhood. I was such a little nerd, she said. My entire identity wrapped up in being the smart one. There used to be this show, I'm Dating Myself, but do you remember Studs? This is where I am reminded that Meghan, like me, is an elder millennial, born in 1981. We are a maligned bunch, hated by our elders for our generational insistence on authenticity and social justice, derided by those younger for our earnest belief that the world is capable of change. What Gen Z has labeled cringe, Studs is an elder millennial touchpoint, a dating game show that aired on Fox in the early 90s. I distinctly remember my mom and her friends hating it because of how often the contestant used the word buns. After school, kids would enact a little makeshift version of Studs to play. They were like, well, Megan can be the host, she says. I had the personality type of I can help coordinate, I can help organize, and I can facilitate. I think I'm probably the same now. I think so too. I get that impression that she's probably the same. She's probably the same now. Hi, if you're just joining us. Hi, Land Specialist. Hi, Gabby. Hey, Auntie Jane. We're just reading the article and I'm about halfway through. She brings up the girls at the tar pits and their vulnerability, which she clearly emphasizes with. It makes sense. Some of those girls are the same age, 11, as Megan was when she graduated from Hollywood's Little Red Schoolhouse. It's the age she was when she wrote to Procter and Gamble to protest gender stereotypes in the company's advertising. It's also around the time of the 1992 LA uprising. When I ask her about that time now, she says it was cinematic in a way I don't think many people can understand. It was so visual. Smoke everywhere. People were driving around with the back of their SUVs open. I saw people running with boxes of diapers, smashed windows, so much fire and ash falling from the sky that it felt like snow. As we sit at the Polo Lounge, the city is currently at the center of a national fight over the enforcement of administration and immigration policy and the continued deployment of the National Guard to urban areas. But the city, Megan says many times over, of course, our conversation is resilient. It was scary, but LA survived it. For Megan, the trajectory of her life has come full circle. The Sussexes moved to California in 2020, settling in Montecito, a secluded, wealthy enclave of celebrity entrepreneurs like Oprah Winfrey and Gwyneth Paltrow. There, Megan reconnected with a tight-knit circle of women, including Kelly Zajfen, who Megan met when they were both in their 20s. It is a small group of us that protect each other, Zajfen says. They had fallen out of touch, but Megan reached out in 2022 after she found out that Zajfen's 9-year-old son passed away from COVID and viral meningitis. The second I heard her voice, it felt like I was right back with her, Zajfen says. Zajfen is on the board of Alliance for Children's Rights, a nonprofit that provides support for children and teens in California's foster care system, and that Meghan and Harry, through their Archwell Foundation, have supported. So this is stuff like the tennis tournament that they do. They've done that, I think, 2 years in a row now, and it seems like it's going to be a regular thing. There's not a day that goes by she hasn't checked in, or I haven't checked in, Zajfen said. Someone can show up in a time of need or grief, and oftentimes they don't stay or they're only there for a short amount of time. But Meghan just always made herself available to all of us. Says a lot about Meghan. Meghan is of a generation of women who were taught to seek self-actualization through work. The same group of millennial women experienced a radical shift once work was disrupted by the 2020 pandemic. I asked her, despite her extraordinary circumstances, if she has experienced any of that same upending shift. I like the community of work and the connection, Meghan says. I think a lot of it is in my DNA. It's an attitude in contrast to the current trend of valorizing a soft life. That is a life without work outside the home, which is with an emphasis on ease, which requires its own level of hidden labor. You should do what works for you. Do you know what? I'm so glad that she has said this, because there is, if you're on TikTok or Insta or in a lot of like women's spaces, you'll hear a lot about this soft life living. A lot of it is kind of adjacent to kind of like trad wife. I need to find me a rich man to live the soft life. And in reality, to truly live a soft life, you need resources. And a man is not a plan. And I love the way that Meghan puts this, you know, it's an attitude in contrast with the current trend of valorizing a soft life. A life without work outside the home, with an emphasis on ease, which requires its own level of hidden labor. Okay, so she goes on to say, you should do what works for you, Meghan says diplomatically. For her, though, when people start to see your work and ethic and really understand how dedicated you are to things, how you are in one place, I believe, is how you are in other places. So for me, that's how I show up when I do potlucks at my kids' school. That's how I show up when putting a party together for my friend who just had a baby. That's how I show up in my business. She also says, oh, sorry. The fear of failure often runs in tandem with the millennial desire to achieve, best illustrated in the spectre of the girl boss. When I broach the topic and ask Meghan what she's learned from her mistakes, she deadpans. You learn not to do it again, before clarifying, if it all goes swimmingly, you don't learn from it. If you learn anything, you're not going to grow. She continues, I'm a mum with kids. At that age, they are constantly learning something new. I watch them face things that feel completely I watch them face things every day. But you can remember and say, I know it seems really hard right now, but trust me, that's going to come so easily soon. I can give myself the same grace as a founder. There's no such thing as perfect. I too get to make mistakes. There's also not a lot of fun in trying to be perfect, Meghan says. So, why try to do that if you want to have fun? And by her good friend Serena Williams' account, Meghan does. We love a good mimosa, Williams says. We could talk for 100 hours and it feels like 10 minutes go by, and it's like we never stop smiling. Zashven tells me she's funny. I think maybe that's surprising to people. That don't surprise me. That don't surprise me that Meghan is funny. Surprising to the haters, maybe. Williams, who met Meghan over a decade ago at a Super Bowl party, says, we both definitely have a dry sense of humor. I think that's why we hit it off for no reason at this silly football thing. We were just like, why are we here? To meet you, apparently, and we've been lifelong friends ever since. I don't like things that feel overly realized, Meghan says. If you overwork the dough, it's not going to rise. And sometimes I think the stress that people put on moments, they are so consumed in them that you lose the fun of why you are doing something. That's a good point. Not everyone who starts a business is under the microscope that she's under, Terry Wood says. What she's learning to weather and ride out is the judgment that happens as a businesswoman when you are that famous. A waiter comes to clear the table, but Meghan asks him to leave the fries behind. I asked her if she ever feels the need to compartmentalize parts of her life, work and family. My office is right by the kitchen, and I love that I can work from home, she says. It's a great luxury. Her daughter Lilibet comes and sits on my lap when I'm in the middle of the meeting, whether it's about P&L for my brand or it's about something creative. When I ask Meghan what she hopes her kids see when they see her working, she tells me, I hope they see the value of being brave. They saw it when the jam was just a pot on the stove bubbling. When you're young, she adds, I think you are a little bit more fearless. As we get older, we lose some of that. Our allotted time on the table is coming to a close. The last of the meal is whisked away, and a waiter comes by with an unsolicited cappuccino. In the foam on top, the restaurant has printed a photorealistic image of Meghan. Oh, she says, smiling down at it. I recognize this picture. That's from our trip to South Africa. Prince Harry and Meghan toured the country in 2019. It's a lovely and absurd perk of celebrity, and Meghan is tickled enough to take a photo of it. Oops, give me a sec, folks. When I meet up with Meghan a week later on a stormy day in New York, she's wearing black leggings and an oversized Northwestern sweatshirt. Her hair is pulled back, and if she has any makeup on, it's difficult to tell. Her skin is bare and some of her freckles are visible. She looks like she could still be in college. We're in a grand brownstone on the Upper East Side that belongs to one of Meghan's friends. When I enter the house, the manager announces Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, even though we appear to be the only other two people in the house. Meghan and Harry are in New York to receive the Humanitarians of the Year award from Project Healthy Minds, a non-profit focused on mental health. We try to decide where we will have our talk, downstairs in the kitchen with its oak countertops and view of the patio, or upstairs. She gestures towards the second floor of the house, which is accessed via a glass elevator in the living room. In the week since we last met, Meghan caused a sensation when she made a surprise appearance at the Balenciaga show during Paris Fashion Week. The first with the new Balenciaga creative director. The two have known each other for years. I was excited for him, she says. I reached out and said, happy to come and support you. We kept it a secret and it was really fun. There's that word again. I love being able to do both. Meghan says, to play in the sandbox with my kids and to play in the front row at a show. I think the moment that you start making all of your personal decisions based on external judgment, that's when you lose your authenticity, indeed. I point out that when women in the public eye are multidimensional, they tend to get a lot of flack. Why do you think that is? Meghan asked me. Here, I launch into a tangent about our culture's deep and historical distrust of women's voices in public. You know what I mean? I finally say, Meghan deadpans again. Well, yeah. I tell her it sounds like she has good boundaries. I think my boundaries become stronger once I came into the public eye in this very, she pauses and makes a face similar to the one she made when talking about making mistakes and laughs. I could think of any adjective to fill the blank and it would probably work. You find the ways to protect yourself, whether that's self-preservation or it's just growing up. Her circle of trust is tight. She puts her hand on her heart when she talks about her husband. He loves me so boldly, fully, and he also has a different perspective because he sees media that I wouldn't. She says, no one in the world loves me more than him, so I know he's always going to make sure that he has my back. With Harry, Meghan explains you have someone who just has this childlike wonder and playfulness. I was so drawn to that, he brought that out in me. That's translated into every part of our life, even in business. I want us to play and have fun and explore and be creative. That is very sweet. Meghan also credits her mother, Doria Ragland, with teaching her how to play. As a child, I was very much an old soul. She says, that's been part of my wiring. My mum would say I was just born that way. Her mother, in contrast, was a free spirit, and they were a close duo. A travel agent during part of Meghan's childhood, Ragland would use her employee discount so they could travel to Mexico for Day of the Dead. Meghan's maternal grandmother, another strong single woman, lived around the corner. It was at her grandmother's that Meghan learned about food. Her mother was not a regular cook, and Meghan remembers most of the food at her table being eaten in haste. Carnation instant breakfast shakes in the morning, deli sandwiches for lunch. These are often an attempt to deliver on Meghan's request to have a Subway sandwich like she'd seen in the commercials. Her grandmother, whose family came from Tennessee, had a garden where Meghan helped pick greens and make preserves. As she describes it, it was a childhood with close ties. Though she says her parenting style is very different from her mother's, she has made it a study using books and apps, a diligence that has made her an authority within her friend circle. She's just so smart, and I feel like no matter what, I can always learn from her, says Williams. The last time the two hung out, Meghan was talking about this amazing woman who is really helpful and how to talk to kids. I'm implementing so much that she's teaching me. But when Meghan was growing up, her understanding of how to be a mother and a girl came from media as much as it did from the women around her. She spoke of wanting to be a mother because of the capable sitcom mums she watched on TGIF shows and because of loving Archie comics. Everyone was like, do you want to be a Betty or a Veronica? Which one did you want to be? I ask her. Oh, a Betty, of course, she says, laughing. She was so nice. The LA of Meghan's childhood, diverse, working class neighborhoods, and air horn before it was cool is gone now. It's been changed by time, but also was decimated by fire last winter. Pasadena and Altadena, two of the community's hardest hits, were places she spent a lot of time during her adolescence. I saw homes where I used to have sleepovers reduced to ash. Meghan and Harry were both spotted in the aftermath, volunteering with Chef Jose Andres and his World Central Kitchen nonprofit. I just want to stop there and say, I remember during that time, people were accusing Harry and Meghan of disaster tourism. This is literally Meghan's neighborhood where she grew up. Like, of course, she would want to go and mourn her home. It was less about giving someone a handout, but giving it to them with dignity, she says. You can treat it with the same level of care that you would if you lost everything. It's nearly time for me to go. Meghan tells me that she'll be having lunch soon with Gloria Steinem, or Glo as she calls her. They met during the pandemic. A mutual acquaintance was in their shared pod. Steiner came to Thanksgiving at Meghan's house. Ooh. I've just always admired her, she says. Meghan is remarkably at ease with the surrealism of global celebrity. In fact, she seems to enjoy it. The house is quiet. The streets outside are too because of the storm. When I walk to the door, I turn and can see Meghan turn back to the kitchen, illuminated by the green light of the rain soaked garden, ready to move on to the next thing. Oh, I think that's the end. Yep, that's the end. Sorry, there's a weird noise just came out of my phone. Amazing. Okay, so I wanted to read that out just for the people who couldn't be bothered to, read it for themselves. What did y'all think of that? I love the small little antidote that she gave about Harry. That was very sweet. I thought it was nice that they brought some of Meghan's friends in to speak about that. And speak about, Meghan and their life. And yeah, it just seems like, Meghan's just focusing on her work. She's got her loyal group of friends. And I'm glad that we're in an era where indeed Meghan is reclaiming her narrative. And I think what better way to round off the year than an editorial like this. Helen, you said that pic of Meghan on the sofa reminds me of the pic of Diana, Princess of Wales. They both look free as birds away from that family. Indeed. Yeah, she's an overachiever. People hate overachievers, which is weird because I'm always inspired by overachievers. One of my best friends in high school was an overachiever, like straight A student. The only thing she ever got a C or a D in was PE. I admired her so much. She actually went on to we don't speak now, but she actually went on to go to Cambridge, as I always knew she would. I've always loved overachievers, and I don't know. Maybe it's because of my friend. I don't know. I don't understand being jealous of someone that's really, really good at things. Like, wouldn't you look at them and be inspired? And also, you are the sum of the people that you're around. So ideally, you should be trying to move closer to people who are more successful, more, more ahead, more smarter. I don't understand the concept of being jealous of someone just because they have more or they're better at something. Like, my first instinct is to ask them, okay, how did you do it? How can I do it? Hi, Lane Parker. Thank you for joining. And thank you for being a member for 41 months. You are awesome, Elaine Parker. No, thank you for being here as well. I appreciate you. Okay, so that is the Harper's Bazaar editorial done. Wanted to make sure that I showed you all the pictures and read the editorial in full. So with that, on to the next thing. With Love, Meghan, we got the first trailer because I think we'll get more than one. The most recognizable face so far in the trailer is Naomi Osaka. Now, I had guessed Serena Williams. I was wrong, but we are getting a tennis star, Naomi Osaka. And if you remember, back in, I think it was 2021, Naomi spoke about her, her mental health issues. Well, she speaks about her mental health issues quite regularly, but I think that was one of the first times she really spoke about it because of something that happened at a tennis match. I think she walked out or something because of the way the media was talking to her, and she was, struggling with her mental health. And Meghan was actually one of the people who reached out to her. So it's nice to see that Meghan invited her to be on With Love, Meghan. That should be very delightful. Naomi is such a sweet soul. I think it's very unfortunate that I get the sense that maybe she doesn't have great management or the right support system around her to help her deal with some of the things that she's going through. And I hope that she does get that support, because she genuinely seems like a very sweet soul, and that she really struggles, being in the public eye, and being an athlete and performing at the highest level. It's not easy. And also going through all the changes as a mother. So to see Meghan give her this space, amazing, very sweet. There are some other familiar faces. Kelly is also going to be in this, and also oh, actually, before I move on to that slide, I just wanted to look. It looks like somebody said in my last podcast Harry might feature, and here we are. Here he is. Maybe Harry is actually going to be cooking up something for Christmas. Let's see what Harry cooks up. That would be very fun. I wasn't too sure if Harry would feature, but it looks like he will. And then we've also got Lindsay Jill Roth, who Meghan actually knew her in their younger years, in their school time, and things have come full circle. Lindsay is now a published and successful author, and Meghan has invited her to be on the show. She's going to be, it looks like she'll be in the episode with Kelly. Forgive me, I do not know who this gentleman is, and there was somebody else as well. Nonetheless, I'm sure all of the recipes and fun things are gonna be incredible. They look amazing. Again, I can't play the trailer because I don't want the copyright police to come after me, but the trailer is on Meghan's Instagram, on Twitter, and I'm sure on the Netflix YouTube as well. It looks glorious. It looks really nice. You see Meghan baking things. You see her going into a field of trees. I think she's picking out like a natural tree, doing some arts and crafts. I saw her like painting what looks like edible painted cookies. So keep an eye out for the trailers for that. Now, I think that's all of the positive things that I wanted to talk about. Oh, Serena is a Jehovah's Witness. She doesn't celebrate Christmas, almost holidays and birthdays. So she still enjoys life and respects Meghan. Oh, so do you think that's probably why maybe she wouldn't take part? Okay, that's fair enough. Thanks for letting me know. I didn't know that. Yeah, okay. I think we can move on to the leftovers. We can move on to the leftovers. Now, who knew? Because I didn't know until I was scrolling through Feminagra that Edward is on a trip to Nigeria. Excuse me, what? Edward, they sent Edwina to Nigeria. For what and why did they send Edward to Nigeria for? And why specifically Nigeria? The same place that they said that was too dangerous. I mean, some of the headlines that were coming out of the British media talking about Nigeria. I mean, these people do not have a single original bone in their body. Not a single original bone on their body. Like, what is this? So, Prince Edward arrived in Nigeria with a warm welcome from the British High Commission and a polite coverage from the UK press. Nigeria suddenly appears safe, steady, and ready for royal diplomacy. This is the same country the media once described as risky when Prince Harry and Meghan Sussex visited. The shift is so quick that it invites a closer look at how narratives form and why certain royals receive a softer landing. Nigeria becomes safe when the media wants it to be. Reports once framed Nigeria as a harsh environment that required extreme protection for Harry and Meghan. Commentators spoke about risk levels and security pressure. Outlets pushed stories about political complications. Front pages painted the entire country as chaotic. I mean, I'm not saying Nigeria doesn't have issues. Every single country does. And yes, there are some issues with military and police, specifically with Nigeria, but to paint the whole country like that, a country so large, vast, rich in culture, is completely unethical. That's unethical journalism, and it feeds into the degrading narratives about African countries. None of that language appears during Edward's 9-day trip. Oh, yes, it's all disappeared now. His schedule includes meetings with the president, school visits, and major youth events. Every update reads like a standard diplomacy. The country becomes vibrant and welcoming when the visitor aligns with the palace's preferred image. The shift in tone is clear. It's also how easily the same media can change the tempo of coverage. Edward's itinerary mirrors themes Harry and Meghan highlighted during their own visit. Youth leadership, education, and cultural engagement feature across the program. The palace presents this tour as a significant alignment for Edward and positions it as part of a broader Commonwealth effort. The timing follows a period where Harry and Meghan built strong connections in Nigeria. Indeed, those moments gained public attention and global support. Edward visits now arrives with a different framing. It carries the weight of official endorsement and operates as a reminder of the UK's interest in the region. Nothing about the country changed between the visits. The shift rests in the media, who chooses to elevate and chooses to downgrade others. Selective outrage reveals the real story. During Harry and Meghan's visit, the press questioned their motives and warned of a geopolitical fallout. Some outlets teased foreign policy disputes and portrayed their presence as reckless. Now, those same outlets deliver glowing recaps of Edward's meetings and events. Even global claims about Nigeria received uneven treatment. Figures associated with the Trump administration and campaign have claimed a genocide has taken place in Nigeria. Nicki Minaj repeated that claim at the United Nations. However, many experts and Nigerians reject the accuracy of those accusations. Even with the narrative gaining global attention, the British press never used it to cast doubt on Edward's visit or portray his trip as inappropriate or unsafe. Indeed. And what is he doing? He's there for 9 days. What is he doing? Surely, if a genocide were actually unfolding in the region, Prince Edward would not be allowed to visit. No, the media did not question why he entered the country painted as unstable by voices abroad. The silence shows the pattern. Outrage activates only when it targets Harry and Meghan. It disappears when coverage shifts to the royal and media it disappears when coverage shifts to a royal the media prefers to protect. Final thoughts. Edward's trip reveals the deeper issue. Narratives about Nigeria change depending on which royal visits the country. Indeed. The press escalated the danger language for Harry and Meghan and softened every edge for Edward. Even dramatic claims about genocide failed to trigger the kind of pushback Meghan and Harry received. The inconsistencies exposes a media ecosystem that reacts to personalities rather than facts. Edward's tour unfolded without panic because the panic never occurred in Nigeria. It reflects the targets the press wanted to pursue. Exactly. Thank you, Feminagra. And what even is Edward there for? Harry and Meghan were invited there. They went with Archwell initiatives, and they're also building a center for wounded soldiers in Abuja. That is actually going to be useful to that community. What did Edward come with other than his ill-fitting suit? Edward's trip is said to be 9 days. I wonder what business interest the royal family has there. Indeed, what interest do they have there? FYI, on the mention of Nicki Minaj, let me just say something about this. Nigeria is one of, if not Africa's biggest economy. I'm not saying that there are not issues in Nigeria, but to have Nicki Minaj, a drug-addicted rapper who is currently married to an ex-offender, standing there at the United Nations, parroting unnuanced, partly false propaganda to give the United States government and military an entry point to put boots on the ground in Nigeria is insane. There is not one country that has experienced United States military intervention that has not been decimated. If you look at what's happened in the Middle East, to do that in Nigeria, Africa's biggest economy, that would be devastating for the entire continent, and it would be incredibly devastating for Nigeria. That would be the worst refugee crisis that we have seen in our lifetime. Worse than, I think, what we've seen with Libya and the Middle East combined. So I would just ask just to be very mindful what you're hearing about Nigeria and think about who actually benefits if the United States military gets boots on the ground in Nigeria, and who, if they're saying this is to save a particular group who is being persecuted, ultimately, when you have a military intervention like that, everybody suffers. So, yeah, you got to think about what business interests, what interests do foreign entities have in Africa's largest economy. I don't think that, it's not stated in the Feminagra, in the Feminagra article, they say that it's about, similar things, that Harry and Meghan were education and whatnot. But I don't believe that. And I also find it interesting that he went himself. They didn't go with Ford Fiesta, although they're probably actually keeping Ford Fiesta out of the spotlight because I didn't get the video or the audio for today, but the brother of the woman that Ford Fiesta's motorcade mowed over, he actually did an interview with ITV. I was very surprised to even see ITV talking to him and giving him a platform, because I would have thought that they want to wipe this under the carpet as quickly as possible. But yeah, he didn't go with Ford Fiesta because they're probably trying to keep her out of the limelight right now. Yeah, Nigeria has a lot of oil. Oil, resources, minerals. You don't let a snake in the hen house. Don't let a snake in the hen house. Okay, the next thing I wanted to cover before we wrap things up. Oh, actually, before I get onto the next story of the other leftover roles, I forgot. How could I forget? As ever. So as ever, wine orders, free shipping just in case in time for Thanksgiving. Okay, so if you want to save some money on shipping, get your wine orders now. And of course, the As Ever signature fruit spread gift set that was put on Oprah's favorite things for the holiday season. So I think this is a fantastic gift. Unless the person that you're buying for has diabetes, I don't see how you can go wrong with something like this as a gift. And even then, they can probably give it to someone else. So I think that this is a perfect gift for most people. Okay, on to the last story. Kate. So Kate did her speech on childhood development and future workforce summit and all of this stuff. Couldn't be more out of touch. Could not be more out of touch. Let me tell you something. People right now are exhausted. We are actually in the middle of a jobs crisis. I know people who have 8, 9, 10, 15 years experience in their field, can't get a job. There's layoffs. And when we talk about jobs, work, corporate companies, we can't just be having this conversation on a surface level using big words. We really need to be holding um especially very big companies that hire a lot of people accountable. There's also the issue with AI threatening to and has already replaced many jobs. There's so much more to this conversation than surface level speeches. Like, this conversation actually requires heavy policy making and heavy involvement with government figures. This is very much a political conversation. And so you cannot expect somebody like Kate in the position that she's in to be able to speak on this with any authority or any real impact. And so therefore, I just don't think that this is something that she should be speaking on, period. If she's not willing to get a little bit more political, or very political, actually. So Kate Middleton returned to the podium with a message about love, care, and childhood, yet the country responded with a blunt question. Why is a royal who has never lived the reality of working families lecturing business leaders about balance? The speech talked about tenderness. The reaction talked about credibility. Comment sections filled with people who thought the event felt disconnected from the lives of those who struggled to pay heating bills or secure childcare. They watched a woman in a designer suit speak about early years while no one could explain how her task force actually helps the parents who cannot find support in their own workplaces. Critics asked what she knows about work when she has no professional record outside of royal life. Some question why the speech focused on children as future workers instead of children as human beings who need safety, structure, and support. The event was meant to showcase leadership. For many people, they saw an image, not substance. Kate framed early childhood as a business asset. Her speech pushed the idea that emotional stability in the early years produces productive adults. Oh, yeah, get them ready for the capitalist system. That's actually how the speech came across as. I think she was trying to somehow mix the importance of um having structure and care and all that stuff for young people and the importance of, I guess, work-life balance for adults. But somehow the two of those merged together in a really weird way and in a way that the speech wasn't really, I think, written very well. Because in order to have that structure for children, their parents are the ones that need to have work-life balance, good pay, work in general. Got a serious issue with the jobs market right now. In order for the adults to create a steady and stable home for the children. So the argument all just kind of landed very strangely for people who wanted a message about society and not workforce output. Emotional development is not a corporate strategy, it is a public priority. The decision to anchor the summit in corporate language weakened the vision she tried to present. Yeah, because I don't know who this is. Who is this actually talking to? The task force itself feels vague. Companies point to charity projects rather than internal change. They have produced learning kits, workshops, and training sessions. These are additions, not transformations. Nothing in the public summary shows businesses improving wages, parental leave, or working conditions for their staff. The absence of real structural reform left people asking why a princess chose the business lens instead of a social one exactly. Kate's language about love, safety, and belonging sounded nice. However, viewers wanted clarity about the results. They asked where the measurable impact is and why the message still feels rooted in public relations rather than policy. Exactly. This is why I said at the very beginning, you cannot have this conversation without without being political. Because these are changes that require policies to be made. And how do you implement policies? Through politics. Through advocating for changes in laws and policy. You have to involve government for that. The reaction online captured a shift. People feel tired of symbolic events that claim to inspire without offering details. Many pointed out that she employs nannies, never held a traditional job, and does not face the pressures common to working parents. The setting at Salesforce Tower underlined the distance between her message and the daily lives of families navigating prices and shrinking government support. Oh, not navigating rising prices. Oh, and shrinking products, by the way. Look into shrinkflation. The same product that you used to buy has a fraction of what used to be in the packet for the same price. Inflation, shrinkflation, gas bills this, water bill that, stagnated wages this, no jobs that. Some commenters called the speech empty waffle. Others mocked her speaking style. These reactions show more than cruelty. They reveal a public no longer moved by royal messaging that lacks grounding. The idea of a workforce summit hosted by a royal who rarely works full schedules fueled further criticism. Even sympathetic commentators struggled to identify what the task force actually does besides publishing glossy summaries. Coverage focused heavily on her hair, her suits, her earrings, and her wave to the cameras. GB News devoted an entire headline to the price of her accessories. Readers contrasted those details with job losses across the country. Yeah, well, I said that, didn't I? The tone of the coverage made the summit feel like fashion content disguised as civic duty. That is pretty much the best way I have ever heard somebody sum up pretty much what the royals do. Fashion content disguised as civic duty. That is, I would actually say that sums up Kate's entire time in the royal family. When image becomes the headline, the message weakens. But sometimes image is the only headline that you can have. Actually, pretty much all the time. If there's no real impact being created, the palace wanted attention on childhood. The press delivered attention on fashion style. Yeah, you had Evoke online, Kate Middleton aces power dressing. Tatler, Kate Middleton debuts a chic new look. Hello, Kate shows the royal way to wear a ruffle bust. People question why the Royal Foundation keeps announcing assets, reports, and summits instead of advancing direct initiatives. Early childhood advocacy requires more than photo calls. It requires policy influence, community partnerships, and a willingness to challenge government priorities. Literally what I said. The summit showed none of that. Kate talked about love and tenderness as if a soft script could fix the real world. People listened and saw something else entirely. They saw a stage moment wrapped in designer fabric, delivered by someone who has never lived the life she claims to champion. The response did not come from cynicism, it came from exhaustion. Families want clarity, they want action, they want leaders who understand what struggle feels like. None of that showed up at the summit. The speech recycled her usual themes and still offered no proof that anything changed. And here is the part nobody in the palace press pack wants to say out loud. Kate's work ethic really has become a disappointment. For years, we heard she was the most educated consort, the relatable commoner, the woman who would bring something modern to the royals. Instead, the country has got a clothes horse with nothing meaningful to offer. Every appearance turns into another coat dress, another blowout, another project held together with a slogan and a photo call. Women younger than her build companies, run non-profits, push policy, and fight for communities. African men. Women younger than her, women older than her even. Meanwhile, the public is asked to applaud because she put on a suit and delivered a word salad speech someone else wrote for her. If Kate wants this campaign to move past the PR loop, she needs real goals, real outcomes, and real contact with the parents and workers she claims to represent. Until that happens, early childhood will sit as another royal initiative that sounds warm, looks polished, and carries almost no weight. And can I just say, I don't expect Kate Middleton or any of the royals, for that matter, to come in and solve all of Britain's problems, all of the world's problems. If all you do is create a small impact, you've still created an impact, especially if you have a platform like theirs. So I'm not sitting here and saying, oh, they need to literally solve the whole jobs market crisis. They need to literally solve poverty. But them being at the top of the societal pyramid, they can have some influence, a great deal of influence. I mean, well, we are a constitutional monarchy, are we not? So I do have some expectations of them. They can't solve every problem, but they can do a lot more than what they do. They won't, because the structure of inequality that we have benefits them. That was the end of that Feminagra article. Brilliantly put. I mean, as I keep saying, I don't think that the royals should focus on trying to be more popular or focus on trying to be more likable. They should just focus on trying to be more impactful. That's what would be useful to everyone. Well, thank you wherever in the world you are. If you have stayed up early or late to listen to me, my gosh. Well, it's coming to about 8 in the morning in the UK, 2 in the morning in New York. We're coming to about midnight in LA. Here at the bottom of the world where I am, we're still in the afternoon. I appreciate you all. Some of the richest people in Houston, Texas are Nigerian. I understand that Houston has the biggest, Texas, the state of Texas has the biggest population of Nigerians, which doesn't surprise me at all, because from what I understand about Texas, y'all do it bigger than everybody else in the United States. So that's where Nigerians would, of course, go. That's exactly where I expect my Nigerian brothers and sisters to be, in Texas. That's probably where I'd be as well. For a Zambian, I'm a pretty colorful, loud Zambian. I'd probably live in Texas too. Either Texas or maybe LA. Either LA or Texas. That would be my place. I think if I was living in the United States, that would be my vibe. Prince Edward, his military drill training, he couldn't handle well within months he left. What qualifications merits his 9 days visits? I can't imagine the amount of money for this 1.5 year. I think that there's definitely something shifty and shady about that visit. Yeah, Nigeria is not just rich in oil, it's rich in many minerals, gold. I mean, where did all of Libya's gold go after the invasion? Like all these questions you ask. I think Kate and William also went to, where did they go? The variety show? The body language experts, of course, they've not come out for a while. They used to come out all the time for Harry and Meghan. But they seem very silent whenever William and Kate come out, even though the body language speaks volumes. Donna, wasn't a government foundation on early childhood closed so Kate could take over? That sounds familiar. I would have to check back on that. Benjamin, does my mail go to the junk bin? Hang on a sec. I don't often check that mail account. That's the thing. Wait, hang on a sec. You said that you sent an email. Wait, let me go. Gosh, I've got so many emails. Yes, you did send me. Okay, so are these some clips about Sarah Ferguson? Okay, I'll look into these. Thank you, Benjamin. Okay, I've seen them now. Sorry. I just don't often check this email. Let's have a look. Oh, you sent articles on Fergie when your topics come. Okay, I'll have a look into them. Thank you so much. Benjamin, lots of single rich Nigerians. I hear. I hear. Maybe. Listen, just get rid of that. Get rid of that orange man, and I will get the first plane over to Texas to find me a Nigerian husband. But you need to get rid of that orange man first. All right, folks. Thank you so much for coming along. Appreciate you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Don't forget to hit that like button as you go out and that subscribe button if you haven't already. Make sure to also share, the videos. If you like the content, share it around. Might be other people that like our channel, other people that maybe haven't seen the other side of the narratives about Harry and Meghan, and we can give them a different narrative, But overall, I think that Harry and Meghan are ending this year very strong. They started strong. Meghan wrote 2025 in the sand. We're ending strong. And I think 2026 is going to be 10 times what we've seen this year. And the other royals, it's like they're trying to play catch up. They're trying to play catch up with metal in their steel caps. And you can try and copy someone. Harry and Meghan go to Nigeria. Edward goes to Nigeria. Meghan goes to Paris Fashion Week. I'm sure we'll see Kate at London Fashion Week. But you can't steal someone's authenticity. Can't be stolen. Can't be replicated. And with that, I will let you go. Thank you so much, everyone. I'll see you in the next podcast. Ciao.